Request to make contact with the Gita's higher self today. Would this be permitted?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, is there any visuals coming through before we start, or should I just get straight into the questions?
There's a slight visual that's coming through that we would like to share with her today.
Mm-hmm.
We're showing her of a time when she was more aquatic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
A time before this life, but on this planet as well. This is dated in this time of 1572.
Mm-hmm.
And she was living inside of the water, inside of the oceans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where she was having a life. She did not speak as what your language would speak now. It was more, they communicated with sound and frequency. And in this life, the way that they lived, they collected and shifted many plants with inside of the ocean. But she became very fascinated with us, of what you would say now, the people of the land, and their shiny things that they would drop in the water, and things that get lost from ships that would sink. She would go and collect all of these things and put them all within a space that she could travel with her, because there was never a home with inside of this place.
And which form did she take when she was living in the ocean?
It was more fish-like nature, but would say that it was more humanoid on the top,
Mm-hmm.
but not as what you would depict these half fish, half human people.
Mm-hmm.
She looked more as if you could say fish-like, webbed hands. Skin was not scaly, but it was a slimy type of texture. The head more rounded with gills, no hair, big black eyes to help to see in the dark of the water.
Mm. And do these beings still exist in our oceans?
Yes, there is those who still exist at this time, but they do not exist close to the surface anymore. They exist a little deeper, but in more of the oceans that are not so traveled, more in areas that, as we would say, the ocean is a lot darker in nature. They do not live close to anywhere where there's extensive light with inside of the ocean, because they cannot take that strain of light with inside of their eyes.
And are they called mermaids or mer-beings, or what are they actually called?
That is a type of name,
Mm-hmm.
but they do not have a name for themselves.
Mm.
But the best way for you to identify would say a MER-BEING.
Okay. And you said they communicate like telepathically, or how does that work?
They do use a form of sound, the same type of structure as this of whales. When they communicate, it is more of a sound frequency, or a sonar is a best way to describe. And then they communicate via these tones. And then they can transport that frequency to and from another. They can hear these sounds and frequencies quite far from each other. They do not have to be close by. But it is frequencies that only they understand, as it is native to what they send.
And is it actually a mix between a fish and a human, or how do they biologically come to be?
It's not that they were a mix between the two, but there was many different seedings on the planet and many ways of trying to shape and form human beings as they are now. There were different races of humans at times, and they were one of those. They planted DNA with inside of different cell structures to see what it would come out like. And then those that were more staying with inside of this aquatic nature became this hybridized species, but they did not be merged from the two DNAs, not the kind that she was. They were more evolutionally grown. The DNA was put with inside of the cells and kept inside of the ocean to see how it would go. And they started to move more fish-like. And then later on, because of their abilities of what was seeded into them from those who seeded them, they started to give DNA similar to what you would see now as a human being, but they have no recollection to the humans now of this time because the DNA is completely different. Think of those more primitive on your planet. Their DNA is still within inside of them.
Okay, and who seeded them?
These were seeded by the Pleiadians at that time. They were doing more, as we would say, scientific work in nature to see how they can help the species and the evolution within inside of these areas. The sea at this time, at this current time in your planet, is such an unknown, vast space. There are many civilizations that reside in there, and those are not known to you at this time. The ocean is a lot deeper than what you perceive. The ocean goes down a lot further, and the further you go down, the different types of species you get. You can say that these of this that you would call the dinosaurs still reside, the aquatic ones, deeper down in the darkest parts of the oceans. They are still there. They never come up because they do not need to. There are different spaces and cave systems with inside of the planet as well, where many of these species extended out into and started to live within them. They live with inside of the caves and in the water, and her species was one of those.
And how do they live without sunlight?
They do not need sunlight. That is why their skin is a dark nature, more of a goo-like texture. They do not need sun. They need to be the furthest away from the sun because the sunlight will interact with them and cause harm on them, just as what you would perceive someone getting a sunburn or problems from your sun. The colder the water, the darker it is, the better for them to evolve because they need this darkness in order to survive.
I heard the Pleiadians seeded the whales and the dolphins as well.
Yes, they seeded more than that. They seeded a lot coming into the oceans because they were very fascinated with it. The ocean is mother of life because of the type of way that the ocean moves and everything that is housed within it. It is the perfect space to allow organisms to grow and evolve and to develop into what they need to be. They sometimes have, as we would say, a surprise from what becomes of it because they have brought and also seeded different types of beings inside of your ocean, or should we say fish-like beings. And they did not turn humanoid, but they developed into types of species of fish that you have now. But the original species that they planted at that time looks nothing like the fish that developed at this time. It is a very fascinating time to see how the evolution of the ocean has taken place.
Okay, and you're saying for Igita, this was the life before this life, this aquatic life, 1572.
Yes, but we would say before human life, not exactly before this life that she has now. She had another human experience, but before that experience, she was in this state.
Okay, and why is it important for her to know about the state that she was in?
Because of the way that she worked in that time and the way that she received information, she became a collector. And this became an obsession for her at this time, where she would want to not only collect different plants with inside of the ocean, but she became more obsessive with shiny trinkets and things that she found in shipwrecks, and later became more curious of what was happening in different parts of the world. She would visit only these, we would say, places where the ocean is still colder in nature, close to where now you would perceive this as the European side, there by this of Denmark and Switzerland and all those places, but not always native to that area. But she became very curious and started to watch the people there and tried to take from them. If she saw someone who was on this, that you would say, a little vessel or a boat moving past, and they had a shiny pocket watch or anything that would glisten, she would grab it off of them and drag them under the water, and then not let go until they have let go of what they have. She would not harm them. Many almost drowned, but this was not the case. She would take it and collect, and this became, as we say, something that she put her energy into. And thus, of now, in this time, it is where she has not blocks within herself, but we would say she struggles with a few things. And it is because of this frequency of collecting and keeping everything.
She was saying that she's got a bit of a hoarding problem. Is that why?
Yes, it is an obsession into wanting to keep all of the things that are pretty and keep all of the things that make her feel that there is something else. Because at this time, they were, as we could say, that species did not know much about the land species. There was a foreign thing to them about it. And because there was this foreign way, it became exciting, like what you would perceive now extraterrestrials. It becomes an exciting thing to think about them on their different planets. And at that time, she wanted to be as close as possible to something different and something outside of the norm for what they were doing. And then she became obsessed with it because it was something else. And this, at this time, is where she is struggling on the inside with this, because she could not let go of this collector that she has become.
Is it something she needs to change in this lifetime, or why is this being brought up?
It is something that she has to work on and let go, because she allows this, as we would say, collecting become more of herself than what is needed, and therefore distracts her and takes her away from what she needs to do for herself. So it is for her to know now that she must take awareness of this and get rid of the things that do not serve her right now. And do not think of the I will need it later type of method, but more to see what is really needed. And the more she sits and she lets that go, she will find that she will start to feel lighter. And when she feels lighter, she will be able to grow a lot better and connect a lot better this will help her at this time.
But I know that it is a bit of a compulsion. So, you know, she likes jars, books, arts and crafts. She feels like it's good to give away, but she's scared of losing. So there's that fear of loss.
Yes, think of it as that fear in this lifetime of losing this hope of something else, something that is evidence of that there is something outside of what you know. Think of it in a perspective now as saying where she is in her now life. It is that she feels that if she does not have all of these, she does not have purpose or does not become herself. But it is not that in nature. It is just that this, as we could say, fear of losing all of these things that she has collected has sit with inside of her frequency for so long. And thus is why it is hard to let go now. But it does not mean that she is broken within her mind. It just means that she needs to work and address this area with inside of herself that feels this need to have to hold on all the time.
Yes, but does that come from unpredictability in childhood when things, you know, you kind of hold on to things because you never know when it's not going to be there anymore? So it's a bit of a lack consciousness, is it not?
Yes, it is a form of lack because the way that they perceive it is that there is nothing else other than that. And we would also state with inside of her life before this, on the one where she was a human. She was also a child in a village at that time, a little boy. And this little boy, because of this obsession that was brought in from that life before, would eat all the time and eat everything that he could, and eventually died because of everything that he ate. And so this frequency also carried over into what she experienced now. It is always moving in a circular motion and always coming back, spiraling through all the lives that were and all the lives that are.
Is there anything else she can do to let go of this, you know, to purge all of these, you know, these things that can make her lighter?
The method that works pretty well for her type of being will be to count them out and pick only a certain number, to not exceed past the number, either 3, 6, or 9, because this is a universal number that tends to also cause balance with inside of the fields. So when she can create that she cannot have more than that, then it becomes easier. Then she needs to pick her favorites, and then she still has the joy of having them. But the rest then she can give away because they are not being used. And because they are not being used, it is also a problem to her with inside of her mental state because it creates a bigger circulation of lack because it is almost as if those items are not having their experience and she is not experiencing them, and therefore causes a bigger, as we would say, not a problem, but more of a disconnect with inside of the self.
With the 3, 6, 9, are you saying she should have either 3, 6, or 9 of a certain object or a certain thing, or how does that work?
Yes, so let us say for the jars, she would then start with 9, pick out the 9 that she loves the most and that she uses the most, and then she can use and keep them and give the rest away. Then later on, with the things that she is doing, she can decide if she would remove it down to 3, 6, or 9. And this way it will be a lot better for her because she then has options. She does focus on different things, but she does not lose because she only has 1. She has 3, 6, or 9 of each, and that brings comfort. And each time she does this and she scales down to eventually to where she has 3, because some things she can have more of, like the jars, but there are different things where she only needs 3. She does not need to have more. And then she can focus a lot better on herself, because then she is using everything and she is not also draining herself by having so many options.
But what if she gives something away and then she needs it later and then she regrets that decision?
She will not give away the ones that she loves the most. If she puts them on a scale of 9 and picks out the 9 favorites, then she will not have that feeling, because she only already works with a few that are her favorite. They do not even exceed to the number of 9. But let 9 be a courtesy number to say that she can keep that extended amount. She has the fear that if she gives them away, she would need them, but she does not use them. She uses the same ones all the time. So why not just hold on to them and alternate between them and not between the ones that are doing nothing?
Okay, so it's kind of like that concept that we wear 20% of our clothing in our cupboard 80% of the time. So the other 80% almost needs to be purged because it's not being used. It's a waste.
Yes, but it is to say and to be more realistic in nature. And we will take this example of the clothes. If you have a dress in your cupboard that you know hasn't fitted onto your body in the last 2 years, why hold on to it to remind yourself of a size that you were and make yourself miserable and say, what if I get skinny? But now at this point, I am not that size. But when I get to that size again, I will then go shopping and get new ones. Let it be more of an excitement to bring something in again rather than to recycle the old.
And can you just explain how that 369 works, how that creates balance?
Because when you look at the laws of the universe, everything in nature, how it jumps into your reality, goes in extension of 3, and 3 goes into extension of itself. Think of it as when the human being has the energy coming into the body, you have the one which is the true light, the divine light, the soul that comes in. Then you have the vessel, which is the second aspect. And then you have the experience as the human in the reality, which is the third. It is a different way of bringing everything into life, moving it from an energetical light nature into a physical, that it bounces in this harmony and then they multiply. And that is what shapes and bring things together. And it is part of the spiral as well. As one comes in, another, and then the third is slightly lower and it starts to move. It creates a perfect cycle for light to be able to bounce back and forth with inside of the space to create something physical.
Okay, and she's also very big on essential oils. You said in that aquatic life she was big on plants. Is that correct?
Yes. This is what she was doing before she started to find the shipwrecks. She was looking for different plants with inside of the ocean because of their benefits and what they could do, and because they could heal. Think of her species as not just those who were swimming around and catching fish and eating other aquatic animals, but they were helping a lot of them as well. There would be at times where they would go and nurse back animals with inside of the ocean that were attacked by other animals. But also around this time, many of the bigger ones in nature, like whales, were the ones who were getting hurt because of this, of those who were on land who wanted to start to use them. and get things from them. They would, as we would say, harpoon them and try to take this from their fats and their meats and different things with inside of their bodies. Some of these would get away, and it was not always successful, but they would be hurt in the ocean. And what they would do is they would go and get different types of seaweed and different forms of plants inside of the ocean and use it to help them heal and remove the wounds from these animals.
And so these mer people, you're saying they retreated into the depths, the dark. Why did they do that?
It is because it's not that they retreated, that is where they originally from. They were born more inside of the darker. The darker the ocean gets, the more beautiful it is. You would think that it is black to your eye because you cannot see and pick up the spectrums. But think of it in this type of perspective. When you have the eyes like what they have with the darker lens, you can pick up more different frequencies of light at the bottom that bounce very lightly, and everything looks more luminous and it looks more glowing. It is a very beautiful thing to see, and that is how they see things. It is colors of spectrums that your eye cannot pick up because your eye gets fed by direct light. But their eyes are built in a way that it is so dark that they pick up all the small spectrums of light. And this is when it becomes very bright in a way that causes this, as one would put it, in a perspective of shocking light and very bright, beautiful rainbow colors. And this was very beautiful for them. So they've always been there, but there are places in your oceans that are not tropical in nature, and more and thus of your winter times, they could come closer up to the surface because it was darker in nature. And then they could go up and see, but they did not come at times when the sun would shine. You would say you could only see them on a rainy day.
And who helps the injured whales now?
Their species still does these things, but not as much. Now the whales just die, and then they get eaten by the other animals with inside of the ocean. The harmony in the ocean at this time is not what it was because of the different things with inside of the ocean. It causes a problem. Thus of pollution and structure with inside of the ocean has changed how the oxygen levels sit with inside of the ocean, and this causes separation where those types of species now cannot come up to the surface because the water physically harms them and they cannot breathe it at this time, and that is why they are not seen on a regular basis. And they have moved more deeper down into the waters than what they originally were, and now living with inside of caves inside of the ocean, which come up into the planet. And there they can come up. They do not always have to be submerged. Think of it as the same as some animals can dive really deep and swim for long periods. That is the same concept for them, that they can stick their heads above water and they can hold their breath and see and move. They have not just developed fins at the bottom and they do not crawl on land, but they come up and they sit inside of the caves. They can crawl onto the sides and stick themselves inside of the caves to get all of the different things that grow inside there. Different types of these algae that grow with inside of the different temperatures. They are different colors in nature, You would think of it in your color spectrum as pink, that they grow inside of these caves at this now time.
And was Ikija feminine or masculine?
It was more feminine, but that is why when coming into the life as the human being went more masculine and now back to the feminine.
Okay. So she's very big on these essential oils, but she says she gives up too fast because she wants to try and sell them, but she doesn't like to talk. Is it something that she needs to maybe do? She's very passionate about, making cosmetics naturally and, treating illnesses naturally.
It is very good for her to go into this and more go into the side of it where she specializes more in the oil healing because of the powerful properties that they have with inside of the body, thus of aroma type of therapy. But she does not need to massage the people, but she can give it to them in little bottles where they can put it on themselves and help to balance out the body. This is something that would make her very happy and connect her back to that life because she enjoyed helping all of the whales and different animals, even dolphins at time. It was very nice for her. Sometimes she would go and rescue the seals from the sharks. She had a big passion for helping, and this is something that she carries into the now life, is this passion to want to help.
Yes, but she's saying she gives up maybe too quickly. She tries 1 or 2 or 3 times, then she gives up.
It is because of this obsession, once again. Because of the obsession, she does not focus on those things. She keeps thinking about the next thing and the next thing, and therefore drags her mind away. So instead of focusing on 3 specific oils and really learning what their benefits are and what they can do, she will think about 10 or 12 at a time and then think, this is too much effort. There is so many of them. How will I know? And then talks herself out of it. But it is to pay more attention and focus more on one at a time and then move to the next. It is just because she is used to having many that she cannot focus on the few.
Okay, anything else about this, making an income from essential oils?
It is good for her to allow herself to really understand them and their properties and what they can do, and allow herself to then move into helping others. You will see the more that she releases and lets go of all the other things she is holding on to, the more that energy in that space will open up for her to hold on to something that she can do. And she will start to make little things for them, and this of creams and lotions, which will smell good at first, but later on when she learns more about their healing properties and what they can do, it won't just smell nice and be helpful in that manner, but it would physically go and heal those who have problems. And it is just for her to get rid of all the access that her energy is focused on and put her time into that because it brings her joy.
Yes. But what is her purpose? What does she have to do but she's not doing? Her numerology chart always says that she needs to work with people. Should she?
It is again to say that it is not that she has to physically go and work with people, but by educating people on the healing abilities of plants and nature. That is her purpose. That is what she is passionate about. That is something that she carries through many lifetimes. And that is something that she is here with now. Because a lot of people at this time understand natural healing, but they don't really understand the level of it and the things that you can access yourself and the things that you can prevent with just this of oil, but in other means as well. And that is the direction that she needs to go into.
Okay, can you tell her more about this working with oil?
Yes, it is to be of healing, to understand that each oil has their own personality and their own way of healing, but each oil has a specific duty. Oils is, as we would say, here with all of the plants, and the plants have this rooted within them that they are here for the service of man and not just the human, but we just say it in this way that it could make, as we could say, an understanding with inside of her. They are here to help. They have different levels with inside of their oils in nature. So take one oil exactly. It has many different properties, but it also is conscious. So when she also communicates to the oil, when she places them inside of the bottles, she can set a frequency on them, just the same as one could charge or set frequency on water. But it is not that she is telling them what to do. She needs to ask them and say, I ask you to remember everything that you need and help this person's body. Thank you that we could utilize you now and that they can receive healing. And when she does this, it creates a charge with inside of the oil. And when the person uses the oil, what will happen is the oil will be absorbed to the places that the body needs and will help the body in that time. And if the body does not need something, it will not absorb it. And if it needs something, it will go. All because it was asked. The same principle is when one speaks over their food in order to get the right nutrition. It is not that you have to bless the food and ask it, but it is more to thank it and allow it to do that. If you do not place an intention on it, it's not going to know what it is needed for and will just go on its way. But when there is an intention placed on the oil for healing or understanding, then it will go inside of the bodies and help the people. And this is a very powerful way of healing because it allows the body to heal itself from the medicine that was given.
Yes. But she's saying she's working in hairdressing now, and her bosses, wherever she works, people are very strict, and she's very afraid of conflict. So she doesn't know what to do. Should she open a shop? Should she study? But she has no money. She feels kind of stuck in this sense, work-wise purpose.
She will get the right things will come to her. It is just to open her mind to learn. There are many places that she can go and find information. There is a vast network this of the internet, but it is not always accurate. And it is for her to not be shy to talk about it because she will be surprised the people that she meets. Let us give an example for her to understand. Let us say there is someone in her chair and she is discussing with them that she is finally looking into the healing abilities of essential oils. And this person would say, I've always loved essential oils. I have a book on all the oils and their properties that I am not using. Would you like me to bring it for you next time to read? And this way of just being communicative about it attracts the situations where she could start learning from others without even having to pay something. And the more knowledge that she gets, the better it becomes. There are also a lot of, as we would say, brands that are more natural in nature. And when you want to work with them, they can also train you into that style. Thus, of Young Living oil is a very good one. And she can look into that one.
Yeah, she said she's already working with them, with Young Living / doTERRA.
But to look into them deeper and contact those of the brand and say, I would like to work with this, but I do not have the money now to study these courses. Is there perhaps something that you can recommend? And just by opening that communication, she will be surprised at what comes to her. Sometimes they would say, we would assist you with the course. Sometimes they would just supply knowledge. It is to ask and she shall receive.
But she's saying she's quite good at massaging. When she washes people's hair, she gives them a massage. Is this also something she should maybe go into?
That is why we said this of the aroma type of therapy. Because when understanding the oil and being able to communicate with it with the right intention, and then to place it onto someone's body, can do a lot more healing than one can think. So this is a good one to do, but she does not have to go and do this every single day for every single person, because some people need to learn their own healing. So she can learn these skills, but then she can teach them how to massage their own scalp and how to put this in and how they can apply it to their own necks and wrists and different areas. She can go and help people by doing it, but she will feel better when she empowers those to go and help themselves as well and teach those that she's working with how to do this.
And what are her biggest lessons in life?
It is just to trust. She has no trust in the future, but also this to let go. Let go of the possibilities and what ifs, because there is a lot of fear-based frequencies within her, very undecisive in a way to want to move forward, very scared to give her opinion or to say how she really feels. And she doesn't trust that her feelings are valid with inside of that moment. Yes. And that is for her to work on that block at this time and to understand that she does have value. Even though she does not feel that she has experience in this now life, she has other lifetimes of experience. And that is why she needs to know that her passions lie there. And if her passions lie there, that is her truth. And if things feel good for her, she needs to do it, as well as set boundaries that are healthy for her and not allow others to walk all over her.
Yes, that gets the next point where she said she avoids arguments at all costs. Should she speak her truth and talk more about what she thinks? She struggles to say, even simple things, especially with religious people, because she can't be honest. She's scared of the judgment.
And that is the fear base that we have brought up at this time. It is because of this lack with inside of the self and this loss of trust. It is not to say that she has to go and argue with them, but sometimes to have a healthy conversation is also good. To not worry that if they judge her, because at this time by her not speaking her truth with them, she is judging herself. And by judging herself, she is causing more problems within herself than what she would perceive from the other person's judgment. How can you help those if you are not willing to educate them? It is to say that when she is communicating with these of the religious beliefs, she does not need to give them all the details of her belief, but to say, I never thought of it that way. I think something different, but thank you for giving me something to think about. And start with small pieces like that of creating strength within inside of herself. And then later on, she will find the more conversation she has, the more confidence she has to say, I hear what you are saying, and that's wonderful that you believe that. I, on the other hand, believe this. And slowly, the more she introduces these pieces of confidence with inside of her conversation, after a while she will not be scared anymore to speak her truth and say, "That's wonderful that you believe that. And I believe this." And when she does it in this manner, by not making the other person feel judged for their belief, it would go a lot better. At first, she needs to know that they are not always going to receive the information well, but it is for her to learn the lesson and see that when someone gets triggered on a situation, it is because it is something that is unhealed within them, that is triggering what is coming up, and therefore they need to get, we would not say healed, but they need to get that information. The same as if she would get triggered within a conversation, that is a mirror that comes up for her to notice that she needs to work on more things within herself. Because if that aspect was healed, even if the words were said, she would not get triggered.
Yes. Can you maybe talk about how, conflict can actually lead to resolution? Because if one is just kind of not speaking up and, retreating, it just is constant tension, which also isn't healthy.
Yes, we will discuss this now, but we will first want to adjust this vessel, as this neck of the vessel is not doing well.
Okay. Do I need to bring an extra pillow?
No, this will be good.
Okay.
There. Yes, by being with forms of conflict can bring resolution, but it is not to fight and have the intention to fight, but it is when the intention is set to speak the truth, and the truth that you believe. Because when the truth is said, and it is said strongly and confidently within your belief, it creates a frequency, and this frequency can be picked up by the other person. And when they feel it, then they can harmonize with it, and then they can start to see your perspective. It is not to do it in an aggressive way, but to do it more in a way where you do not allow them to walk all over you. And when having this type of conflict and saying, "This is my truth and this is what I believe this because it does this for me, and this is how I feel." And when communicating that feeling that is received from the belief gets projected into the other person's field, and they can physically feel it. And sometimes with those who are seeking help and in this argument, they can absorb that energy. It gives them a different perspective, and they can say, "Wow, I never thought of it that way, but now I see what you are saying." And it gives them a thread to tug on, and then they can go and solve things within their life. If one keeps quiet all the time and never addresses things, it is another form of pleasing the other. And when you please the other, it is a disrespect to you because you indulge their behavior. You do not give them the opportunity to see your side, and therefore you give them a weapon to oppress you with, if we can put it in that perspective.
But I mean, what happens if she then is judged because she opened up, the conversation?
To not feel judged. The thing about judgment is the fact that many will judge regardless, because judgment is not a thing of another person, but more a lack within the oneself. And because when someone is doing something, let us give an example. If there would be a lady that walks down the street with a big purple hat, many would go, "Oh, look at that hat. It is ugly." And therefore it seems as a form of judgment. But it's not because they think the hat is ugly that they have to verbalize it. It is because in that moment they get triggered by, "Wow, look how confident and unique this person is. I'm not confident, so I need to not let others around me know that I am not confident."
Okay.
And therefore they would speak that out. So it is for her to understand that judgment is a problem within another person and not within her. And actually, by allowing them to judge her in that way would spark something within them to start healing. The thing that needs to be understood is that doesn't matter what she says, there is always still a judgment. But it is for her to not allow that judgment to affect her. Because if she believes in what she believes and it is true, then why should the judgment affect? It would only affect her if she feels that she is wrong. And this is where she has to have the change within herself now at this time and go look withinward and find the trust inside of herself and trust that she believes this for a reason and not because she is trying to hold on to something outside of herself, but because she's trying to grab onto what is inside of herself.
Yes.
And creating that perspective will allow her to not feel judged in those moments.
So just talking about abundance, it feels like she's lacking it. She doesn't want to show off because she thinks, modesty is a big value for her. But she does want a house and a garden and she wants to travel with her children, but she can't see how to manifest it. Feels like there's a blockage maybe from childhood. She had this impression that money doesn't grow on trees or you need to work hard for money. And she had no money growing up. So what can she do to manifest more?
This is why we brought up her life as this being, because it is for her to also understand that once she makes shifts inside of herself, all of these things slowly start to fall into place. Abundance is always there, but you need to trust that it is there in order to receive it. But if you do not open the door for trust, then you can manifest all you like and put all your energy into that, but it truly won't come back to you. And this is where the lack comes forward, because the lack of having this financial abundance was always something imprinted in the back of the mind. But this is something that needs to be altered and needs to be changed because the abundance is there. She is living a life, but she is living the life that she has scattered herself into. When she realizes by letting go of a lot of things within her physical surrounding, in her home, around her thoughts, when she truly zones in on the things that are needed, the energy that is being projected into all of that can be projected then into moving her into abundance. But this is a very hard concept to take in because the belief structure is that it is impossible to achieve that. But it's just a belief. Change the belief. You are worthy. You've always been. You've always had what you needed. You didn't grow up with a lot, but right now you have what you need. There is no lack in a way other than the thought of the lack. And the more that the thought is being projected onto the lack, the more the lack grows. And it is for her to understand this truly, because the more that she shifts her thinking into having enough, there will be enough. And the more that she puts it on that there is a big flow of abundance, we're just centering the vessel.
Okay, thank you.
The more that she focuses on that there is abundance, the more that the abundance will come. She just needs to change her obsession from the lack to the overflow. Speak it into existence. Tell everybody that she sees. It is going so great. It's going so wonderful. I really don't know how I'm so blessed. And the more that she does this, the more it will start to trickle in.
Well, then she's going to be worried about people coming to borrow money because I do that all the time and people come and always want to borrow or want something monetarily. So
Yes, but again, it is to set a boundary at that time. And if they would come to her and ask to say that I was just blessed with enough for me and my family. But if you speak blessings into your own life, you can receive.
Yes. Okay, so she needs to, it's almost like a bridge affirmation again, once again. She needs to realize how she is abundant. She does have a house, she does have her children, her family, her car, she has enough to eat. So in that way, she is abundant already, and it's to focus on that.
Yes, but it is because she's not focusing on that abundance. She's just focusing on all the things she doesn't have. And the more she changes that perception, the better it will become. Because then she will start to notice different things in her life and different opportunities. And when she gets these different opportunities, then she will open the door for this abundance to come through.
But she said even when she grew up, all her cousins and family, everyone worked at a factory, but it always seemed like others had a better lifestyle and had more, even though everyone, earned the same amount of money, and she felt a little bit jealous. Why was that?
It is yet again because this over wanting. Think of it as gluttony, to have too much. They would see, and let us put it in a perspective that can be truly digest. Let's say that they have got €5, and with this of the euros, they're going to keep this €5 and next month have another 5 and then have another 5 so that they can have 15. And when they have 15, they are going to go buy clothes. But what she would have is she has this 5 and she would have to spend it now, because if she does not use it now, then it is not going to be there. And then she would go spend it on things. And then she has to wait the next month for other things. And then when she sees the others buying shoes and clothes, she says, wow, I only have 5. I can't go buy shoes and a jacket. Why can they? But it is all because of their focus and how they managed what they received, because they did not have the fear of losing it, and therefore they would gain it. But the more the fear is around it, the less that there is.
Okay, anything else about how she can manifest more money?
Would it be believable if we would say that the money is already there? It is just for her to manage it correctly and not spend it on different things that is not needed. That is why we put it into the concept of 369. Once you already have that amount, don't buy any more, because that money can be then saved in another way for something else that is needed. And it is just to have management of what is coming in and out. And that would already make a huge difference within her life. And that is more tangible for her to put into practice than changing her belief structures. And while she does that, then she can work on changing the mind.
Okay, and that's the mind, the kind of, money doesn't grow on trees and you need to work hard for money. It's those kinds of concepts, right?
Yes.
How can she shoot holes in those belief systems, which inherently are not actually the truth? It's just a belief system.
It is to say that money does not grow on trees, but money is made from trees. It is to change the entire belief. She can rewire her brain in changing the things that were said to her as a child. Also by understanding that it wasn't because it wasn't a possibility, but more because the fear from the parents was there and they were carrying that fear over. And think of it as a little backpack full of fear.
Yes.
And she put it on. And now she's walking with it. But the more she changes when she says in her mind, money doesn't grow on trees, but paper does, and money's made from paper. Then she uploads something out of the backpack. And when there's every time a fear of there's not enough money for this, to say, There's not money for it now, but we will save towards it. And she makes the backpack lighter. It is to reword the wordings that she is using and rewire it into the brain. Change the memory, change the frequency, change the construct of what is coming into the mind, and then it will change how it comes out of the mind.
But also, you need to work hard for money. I mean, I know a lot of people who do absolutely nothing and make more money than anyone I ever know. So that even that's not true. But how can she believe that, in her heart?
It is because when you are passionate about something and you are doing something that you enjoy, it does not feel like work. And therefore, when it doesn't feel like work and there is no restrictions on it, then this abundance can move in a lot quicker. So it is for her to put herself into a position where she feels happier. Move slowly into something that makes her feel like she is doing a purpose, but it is not, as we could say, a heavy purpose of work. She needs to understand that when she creates this space for herself, she changes this whole entire mindset. It is not about what you are doing, but how you are doing it. And if you change the how, then it will all come together.
Okay, and can you just talk about her relationship with her partner? It seems she wants to know what's the lessons that they need to learn from each other because she's not entirely satisfied in the relationship. She's not getting, her needs are not being met. Her physical needs, physical affection needs, emotional availability needs. She wants a partner, not just someone who, provides and reminds her of it constantly.
It is to also understand that just the same as she has her flaws and her needs and her belief systems, so does the partner. And the first way to come is to first work on communication. Because if the communication is not there, how does the partner know what the specific need is? And how will she be able to reciprocate that need back to the partner as well? Because it is more in her mind that she feels this, and this is true, but the partner also has similar feelings at this time. And if they come together and take time for themselves and not always busy in what they do, think of it as they need a break. Think of it as they need a little holiday. And it does not mean that they must go away somewhere, but even if they say a little picnic outside and the kids can be by someone or friends and they go and have this time alone. And when they have this alone time to say, I am starting to feel unhappy in our now situation, but I want to know how can we move in a way that is healthy for both of us. So give me 3 needs that you need and require from me, and I will give you 3 that I require from you. And let us start working on this. And then making the conscious effort to say, I'm going to give because I'm going to receive. And that needs to be given and received from the partner as well. And that is at this time the healthiest way for them to move forward without causing conflict.
But she said he has quite a temper. He gets very angry. It feels like she can't talk to him and he's not very patient. He just goes kind of mental and something she feels like she can't speak.
Yes, and this is why we say to do it in a setting where it's a calmer environment and to be away from everything, because he is more stressed out and he's dealing with a lot of emotions inside of him that he does not understand. And thus is why he has these outbursts and anger. And it is for her as the conscious partner at this time to not only view him from a negative lens, but view him from a third party perspective and view him as what she would view someone that she is trying to help, and see that they are dealing with things within themselves You cannot tell them where they are doing wrong because it would just trigger them. But what is the best way to help them is to try and remove them from the situations that are causing the stress and causing the problems. And when discussing it with them, it is to be more placid in the conversation and not say, you are not meeting my needs, you are making me feel, because then it triggers the other one to feel that they are being blamed. And when the blame starts to come, shame starts to form around it, which then aggravates with inside of the body, which causes more anger to breed. And in those moments, it is more to say, I feel like I have been lacking a bit to you as a partner, and therefore you have probably been lacking towards me. But I can see that you're stressed and frustrated, and I want to help you. So tell me what is your needs, and then I will tell you what is mine, and then we can see how we can help each other going forward. It is again how to present the information which is key, to not make the other feel like they have done wrong, because it is never nice when you are feeling hurt for someone to come and push on that hurt.
Yes. But is there a future in this relationship? It seems like it is. They were very much attracted in the beginning, but it seems like it's kind of fizzled out.
It has fizzled in the way that you say because of this lack of communication, because of all of the distractions, because of this, of trying to make it work and survive, and having the children in the house. It creates a bit of a separation because it became about everything else and not about them anymore. And when they can move back in that space, the love is still there and it can still grow. But if they try and the one is not willing, then it is to acknowledge that there is also a time where one cannot force another into the future.
Does it just become an incompatibility then if the other one doesn't want to reciprocate?
It becomes, in a way, not to say that it is incapable for them to be together, but it just causes more problems. Because when the one's light starts to shine, or the other one starts to see their flaws. So it creates an environment where the other one cannot heal. But when it's understood correctly from the start and taken with the right approach and handled in a loving manner, the other one will see it and respond, because the other one also just wants to be loved. It is all about the first steps being taken. But if the steps are not taken correctly, then there needs to be separation at a later time. Because think of it as a schedule. If you miss the train, you miss the train. Because sometimes it is too late. But the train has not left the station yet. The train is still on its way. And it is now for her to know that how she communicates with him and the way that she handles it makes a difference. It is not to allow his bad behavior to walk all over her and make her feel that she needs to please. But it's about speaking the raw, honest truth in the most loving way possible. She needs to visualize that when she is speaking to him, she's speaking to him the same way that she did the first time she met him, with the same eyes and love the first time they kissed, the same energy and passion that was there in the beginning. What words would she have used then? How would she have communicated it? Because when she can show that loving space, it shows him that he can put his defenses down and step into that space as well.
And what lesson do they need to learn from each other?
They need to learn to respect each other. There is no respect anymore. It is more of each is going on their own way and there is no harmony. There is no merging back together and working together and saying, this is what works for me, what works for you in any situation in their life. It is more that they are leading two separate lives. And the lesson is to respect that is another person, but also respect themselves at the same time and come together.
Okay, and she's current. Is there anything else about that relationship?
This is what is needed for now. Later, she will start to identify things and know, but that is the most important lesson to work on. Because if that does not get worked on, then the rest does not matter.
But it's kind of respect for others and respect for the self. But what if the other person's, respecting the other is crossing your own boundaries?
That's when you have to see how it respects you and the other person. Okay. That's why it is to say that it must not be a lie and things must not get said to please the other or to indulge their behavior, but rather to speak to them out of a most loving tone and voice, but still speak the truth and say, I'm sometimes scared to speak to you and open up because of the way that you react. And I don't want that. That was never us. I want to move forward with you because I still love you the same. But I need you to put down your defenses and really hear me now. And it is to be honest, but not lie.
Okay. Okay, and she's currently cleaning houses. She wants to know, should she give it up? Because she believes that, if one door closes, another one will open. But it's actually quite a good job. She's doing well with it. She doesn't really like it. It's a big responsibility, but does she need to kind of, close this door for another one to open?
She needs to remove that perspective of closing for one to open. She can already start to open another door and allow it to come. And once she finds that thus that she has opened trickles in, then close the other chapter. Don't move prematurely just because of the fear. Move when ready. First make sure that everything is there. Thus is why the one with the oils is so good, because many are seeking and needing the help. And the more that she focuses on that as a passion and a side project and really putting her attention into that, the more opportunity will open with that she would not have to clean the houses. And then she can do a transition. But if she closes that door, it will be more frustrating to try and get the other business started and therefore cause more doubt and cause, as we could say, more problems financially. So do not close the door, but open a window. And when you open a window, you will see that later the door will blow shut itself.
That's a beautiful analogy. Okay, anything else about cleaning houses?
No.
Okay, so with her children, she has 4 children, and she wants to know what's the best approach for them. She's a normal mom, but she wants to know, should she pay more attention to them? They are getting good grades, but, what should she do to help them thrive?
It is just to spend time with them. And we are just recentering the vessel.
Okay.
It is just for her to spend time with them. Be more interactive. The best way is to allow them to be free. Take them on walks, allow them to play, sit with them in ways that is very non-constructive to working or school or deep, intense conversations, but to be there in more of a childlike mind and freedom. They do not have to run around and play with physical things, but it is to create fun games with them and say, tonight we are going to play a game. We are going to write names of different animals, and then we're going to stick it onto our foreheads. And the other one has to guess what animal it is. By just allowing them to be in this space free from the world, free from things and pressure and society, but to allow them to just be creative and think, that already opens the energy for them to go onto the right path and allows them to grow like a beautiful flower.
Yes, but she says they're spending too much time on their phones or on the television, playing computer games or on the computer. She says if she doesn't take them out, then they basically spend the whole day on that. But then they say that she's wasted their time to take them out. So should she be stricter regarding game time and computer game time?
Yes, but it is to say that when taking away something that they enjoy, she has to create something else. To create something else that is fun. Instead of saying, stop your games and let's go on a walk, say, we are going to go get ice cream. Let us all go for a walk for ice cream. Won't that be amazing? And then they will say, yes, I would so love ice cream. It is to give a little bit of a reward because they are children after all. All that they want is pleasure.
They want to play.
Yes. When you create environments for them that does not make it feel like effort, but it makes it exciting, later on they would come to you and say, Mom, are we not going to walk for ice cream? Because you create something for them that gives them excitement and gives them pleasure. And these things of saying, you can go play your games after we play family games, because I would like to see your faces, because you make me happy. And by verbalizing these things in a positive manner, it makes them feel special. At first, they will be resistant and not want to, but after a few times, they will feel loved because they feel that she cares and wants to spend time. Even if she says, every Wednesday we paint. You can play on your games and use your phones after we do a family arts and craft. Because if you are going to be distracted there, you can first be distracted here. And it's something that I would enjoy, and then you can do something that you would enjoy. And by creating the joy for herself, and they see how happy she is, and how happy she is with them, it creates a space for them. Also to tell them that you need to be creative. If you are going to go focus your mind on your game, you first need to relax your mind so you can focus better. This is a technique to help you game better, and use it in a way that makes it seem like it's in their benefit, because it makes them feel loved.
Yes, but is there anything else they can do so that they, together so that the children can grow up healthily?
It is a lot of things that they can do. It is obviously to see what they are putting with inside of the bodies and what they are eating. She could even have that one child has to help with dinner, and then they have to learn different skills, or they can decide what is going to be cooked for supper, but they would have to help with it. And it gives an enticement to start doing activities, because not always going for walks and playing games will work. What if it's raining? And what if everyone is tired? But food is the best one, because everybody loves food. The more that they focus on that in the better ways, and focus on not only just getting food, but putting in good stuff. To say that if one of them would like to have bread, to say we're no longer going to buy bread from the store. If you want bread, then we would need all hands on deck, and we have to pick a day and we have to bake it together as a family. That is the rule, or else no more bread. And then it creates a little bit of an indulgence, because at first they will be upset and say, no, we do not want to then have bread. But the more they will miss it. And then after a week or two, they will say, fine, let us help and see. And when they are in the kitchen baking together, they will realize how much fun it is. Put on some good music and dance around together. And that creates more harmony with inside of the home.
Okay, anything else about her children?
Just let them be. They will come. They just need to feel loved. She is doing the right things. It is just the more that she works on herself, the more that she will see they will start to change around her.
Seems like they're quite shy, some of them. Also, they don't talk similar to her sometimes.
Yes, but a lot of times, depending on the parents, but children gravitate more towards the mother because it is for them safety. They have come from her. The voice of the mother is soothing because that is where they first started to develop. So the more that the mother is happy, the more that the children are happy. The mother makes the household.
Okay. Okay, before we get into the health questions, she just had a question about her mom. It seems like her dad used to drink growing up, but her mom drank only occasionally. But when her mom and dad divorced, her mom started drinking alone, and she ended up with a very strange man. They don't keep in touch much, but she wants to know what's the future for her mom, and is she getting better? Because there's more to life than living with unsuitable, unstable men. Seems like her mom was also looking for affection in the wrong places.
This is just an unhealed wound at this time. But we cannot say that the mother will do worse or do better, but we will say that the mother has a deep wound within inside of herself. And at this time, she cannot see the healing. So opportunities are presented, but sometimes the hurt is just too deep. It is not for her to take on the responsibility to help her mother, because she needs to understand that eventually that the mother needs will come to her, and also she will come into a new life and then be able to work through all of those lessons again. If she feels called for it, she can give her information and talk to her, but it is very difficult because not understanding that when someone is wounded deeply and they have already put themselves into that state of mind, they will not get out of there unless they want to. And those who try to help them only end up hurting themselves. So there needs to also be a barrier in that. Do not be concerned in a way that it affects your health. You can care, you can give information, but that is all that you can do. Unless asked, you cannot intervene. And that is a very hard lesson to learn, but it's one that needs to be respected, that each one is on their own journey, and each one has their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own things that has happened. The traumas that sit within them are their own, but until they want to deal with them, there is nothing that you can do. But you can only support and love them and be there for them for when they are ready to make those changes. But she cannot physically help the mother because the mother is not at that space at this time.
But she wants to know, how can a normal person change so much? Because her mom's a pensioner now, but when Gita was growing up, her mom worked very hard, many jobs to help the children. And now, it's just really sad that she let herself go so much. Why is that?
Because that is what depression does. That is what hurt does. Because she worked so hard and she gave so much to everyone else, she never gave to herself. She created a spiral of anger and despair within inside of herself. Instead of moving herself out of the situations at where she was, she just kept going in them, and therefore after a while started to give up, because what is the point? She always felt hurt. She always felt depressed, sad, and then she let it go because she thought, doesn't matter what I do, it stays the same, so I might as well not do anything. And she gave up at that time. But that is her lesson to learn. She needed to, at a time in her life, start to work on that and give more to herself and balance herself, but she didn't. And because she didn't do that, that is the aftermath of what took place.
Okay, and if her mom was ready to change, she came to a Gita, what should she do? What should a Gita do?
It is to say that if the mother was ready and acknowledges, then for her to sit with her mother and talk with her and say, okay, let's take small steps in starting to help you. But at first you need to start to respect yourself. And that is why it is important for her now to do those things, because she cannot give the mother advice or teach her if she is not in practice herself. By saying you need to speak better about yourself, you need to set more healthy boundaries, you need to look at who you invite into your life, you need to look at what you're putting into your body. It all starts with small conversations over a long period of time. It cannot all be handled at once, but it is to do it in stages. But think of it as this way. She cannot help and save her mom from drowning if she is drowning herself. So the best thing for everyone in her life is when she truly works with inside of herself and she puts herself back on that boat. Then she can go and help everybody else out the water. But she cannot help them onto the boat when she is in the water herself.
Exactly. Okay, that's a good analogy as well. Okay, and what about her weight, Agita's weight? She said after all 4 pregnancies, she feels like she's really let herself go. She has been taking supplements to detox. She did acupuncture, but she said she's still not losing weight.
Because of the imbalances with inside of her body. We will do the scan now in order to highlight what is happening. But it is more of her body is struggling to break things down. Because of the trauma after the pregnancies, the body struggled to bounce back. The tissue cannot hold anymore, which then causes an imbalance. And this is something that she can also do with the oils, is by using them to rebalance the body and start to work on them. Because this of her liver at this time is struggling. Yes, it is to say that it is not that she's doing specific damage to it, but it is struggling to detox the body. So she needs to be careful with these detoxing supplements at this time, because the body is already struggling to detox. This is why thus of the weight is already there and being pushed out into the outer system of the body. The body is struggling. So it is to not completely detox it at this time, but more to help it to align. And it is to give it the right environment to do so, to work more on what is taking place. So this of the herbs of cayenne pepper is a good one to use. But it is not a lot. It is the tip of a teaspoon that she would need inside of lukewarm water to drink on an empty stomach in the mornings, because this helps with the liver and helps the liver to start to detox at that time. It will give a warming sensation down as it goes into the body, because it is one of the only herbs that can go into all the extremities and also help detoxify and kickstart circulation. She must only do this for 2 weeks and then take a break, because continuously doing that can also be harmful at a later stage. It is to not do it too much too quickly, but to say to do it for 2 weeks and give 4 weeks rest and do it again for 2 weeks, 4 weeks rest and another 2 weeks. To do it 3 times to help kickstart. And it is to be very gentle with her body at this time, and to understand that it is not all about what is being put in, but how it is coming out. That thus of the lymphatic system cannot drain and detox. So it is for her to help stimulate the lymph. A very good herb that she can use, or oils that she can use for the lymphatic system, is this of clove bud, because it helps to stimulate and starts to move. But also to apply thus of geranium to the body, because geranium helps to also bring circulation back up into the fluid. Anything of this of peppermint in nature is also good, because that also starts to help to break down and release the tissue that is inflamed. These are good ones to start to look at so that she can start helping the body. This also of thyme. Thyme oil is very good to place on the pulses or on the groin areas, because this will also go and help to calm down all the sensitivity within the fluid of the body at that time.
Does she need to kind of do those massages to drain the lymph, or go for a massage, or how should she work with
Yes.
these oils then?
It is to say that this is the best learning opportunity, is to do it on herself, to really feel her body. Many always help others, but never really feel their body. Let us take, for example, for the arm, to say that she needs to press lightly on the arm and move where she's not creating too much pressure, but only tugging the skin. Light oils on the hands and just rub lightly. And when she rubs, she will feel where she is sensitive. And where she is sensitive, she will know this is where a blockage is. And when she finds a blockage, to move circular over the blockage. Because the more she creates a circle around it, the more she shakes apart all of the grime that got stuck in the area. And it creates like a vortex, little spiral. And it pulls the fluid back down towards where the lymph can start to excrete it out again, and it's not stuck. Even this of moving under the arms is very big, because this in nature here by the arms is where her lymph is mainly blocked at this time. And by sliding her hands all the way down the rib cage and moving it in towards the abdomen will be the most of help at this time. And then when working on the abdomen, going from this clockwise motion to stimulate the gut. And the more that she does this, the more that she will start to see that the texture and tone with inside of the stomach area will start to change, because everything that is not in coherence with inside of the body is creating different splits, which then creates different fluid pockets, as well as an exchange of different types of chemicals which get seen as gases, and they tend to move up to the surface. Because think of a bottle of water. When you move it upside down, where does the bubbles go? It tries to go up. And because the gut is so secure, it does not come up and out. It moves to the abdomen closest towards the belly button. And by lightly stimulating these areas every single day, she will feel the little beads underneath the hands of everywhere where they are stuck. And not to pressure them, but just to stimulate them. And she could do this for quite some time. She could start with 3 minutes, but move to about 5 to 10 minutes a day. And when she sees the more that she starts to rub, the less the pressure will be, and the more that the skin will start to go down, because she's transporting the fluid. And moving up on the thighs, always direct towards the heart. That is the best way. Even this of body brushing is quite good. But the best way to work with the lymphatic system is to be on this of a trampoline, and to be able to do light bounces. But she does not have to do that now. She can just physically touch the body. Even when working on the body, she can wash herself in this direction. And when washing, it is a nice time to physically feel the body. And when she makes contact with the body and she starts to feel it, then she will start to look after it a bit more. And this will take pressure off the liver, which is then placing pressure on the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is placing pressure on the chest, which is then also restricting the breathing.
Okay, anything else about losing weight for her?
To just work on her body. That is it. Just touch it. When she starts to move it around, it starts to actually give a result later on. Many believe that the body just needs to lose weight and do it all by itself. But to physically help it will be good. To physically touch and move all these areas, because the fluid is trapped in those pockets. And the body cannot move it out there, else it would not be trapped there in the first place. So the more that she spends time physically on herself, the more that she will see that that would help. And thus of the cayenne pepper will also stimulate the metabolism, which will also help her body be able to break things down.
Okay, is veganism a good choice for her?
To go more plant-based is a very good choice for her, but not to go completely vegan at this time. It is to say for her body to move away from the heavier meats, but stay more on a light meat basis, which this of more chicken or fish. Just the normal fish is very, very good to still give her the oils for now, because her body is not where it needs to be able to transition fully into a plant-based diet, and it would actually cause more problems within her body because she will not be able to absorb all the nutrients, and therefore can cause things which will create imbalances with inside of the body, like this loss of iron. So it is for her to transition slowly. Once the body is in better health and in a better condition, she will know because of the size. And then she can start shifting over. But to eat cleaner and eat more plant-based would be better, and to not have this of many starches that slow down the gut at this time. It is to say that she does not have to be gluten-free at this time, but the more that she can avoid that would be better. Thus, of sourdough bread would be a better starch to take in, as that helps to lower the blood level sugars with inside of the body, and this can also help her body to metabolize a lot quicker.
Would it be good for her whole family to go vegan eventually?
Eventually, it would be very healthy, but as we say right now, not. For them to all move towards a lighter meat base, where it is more of this of chicken, but a clean chicken and not a processed chicken, and not one that has been filled with hormones, but to move closer to the fish in nature, because even with her and all her lives, that is where she comes from, the ocean, and that fish and that way that it breaks down with inside of her body, those oils help with the brain, and that will help the body to be able to stimulate a lot better.
Okay, and regarding her health, she also has gingivitis and she's lost 3 teeth. It started somewhere between her 4 pregnancies. Why did it manifest and how can she release it?
The manifestation comes from not being able to speak and say what she truly feels. This started to manifest quite deeply with inside of her body, because there was no time for her to speak the truth or truly stand for what she wants to say, but also this fear of money. Having this fear of money can cause this of the teeth to fall out, and this is something that many do not understand, that fear can manifest into different areas. To understand as well, during this time of pregnancy, the body is very sensitive at that time because there is a lot of changes. And when these changes are taking place, this starts to move through the body. But this is something that she can work on now still. It does not mean because this has taken place that that is the only thing that has to take place. This with also the oils can work with inside of the mouth. Thus of this pure coconut oil helps to grow back teeth, but also remove and sterilize bacteria. Thus of oil pulling is a very good option for her to look into, which is a very popular thing now on this time on your planet because of the results of what it does. And for her to do more research into that will work a lot better.
So she needs to flush her mouth with coconut oil.
Yes. And later she will start to see, the more that she starts to learn about the essential oils, the different ones that she could use, even a little bit of the ones that are ingested, like the clove, that is also very good for the mouth and which can help for the teeth and help for the gums. And then later on, she will start to tinker and make products, and she will see the more she practices, the more she will learn, and she will be able to do things like make her own little toothpastes that actually help the areas and do not do it harm. But it is all for her to go and find the knowledge. She needs to make the effort in order to receive it, because the more that she goes and learns this for herself, the knowledge that she will gain, and she will then be able to share that with others. And when she speaks from experience and helping them, this opens that window that we have given her.
But she said her teeth are moving and there's a high chance that she's going to lose more teeth. But she's still eating, normally, and she can still eat, but she uses natural toothpaste and castor oil, but she said she's very lazy to eat better.
Yes, but the food does make a difference, because not only about the nutrition that's going inside of the body, but the food that gets stuck in between the teeth gives different properties and therefore rots and ferments. Yes, brushing the teeth is a good thing, but you do not get rid of everything, and certain particles stay behind, and especially particles with high sugar content tend to rot more in towards the gum and irritate the teeth. That is why this of the oil pulling will be beneficial, because the oil extracts all of these things that are stuck in between, because they slide out from in between the teeth and out from underneath the gum. But also the antibacterial properties from this of that coconut oil can help to regrow teeth, because it protects the enamel, and once the enamel is protected, it can stimulate and grow the tooth to be full again. But at this time, her enamels are exposed and they are very sensitive, and they are absorbing everything through it that is now being pulled up into the gum and causing more irritation.
So with the oil pulling, is it like just flushing the mouth with the oil like twice a day, or how does that work?
Yes, so what she can do is she can take this virgin pure coconut oil and take one of these trays that one would put these ice cubes in and fill them up. And she can add also 3 drops of peppermint oil into each one that she fills up, and put this in of this deep refrigerator that makes ice, and then can make it a solid. And then what she does is she takes them out and puts them in a jar, and then she can leave them in the fridge so that they stay cold. Because when the cold gets stimulated in the mouth, specific enzymes will be activated to help to come and bring heat and healing to the area. So when she takes one of these blocks, she puts it in her mouth and starts swirling it around. And as it gets hotter, it will start to melt. And when it melts, it starts to create a liquid. And when it creates a liquid, there is something irritating this vessel.
Where is it?
It is a hair. We have removed it.
Okay.
And this, when she starts swirling that around, it starts to then create heat. And that heat will start to then bring the enzymes back into the mouth. And then the oil will start to remove all the bacteria and start to create a layer. So the more she does this oil pulling daily, the better it becomes. Only once a day. It is better to do it before bedtime, because that is when the most bacteria builds with inside of the mouth. And while she does this, she will find while the block is melting, there will be a lot of oil in the mouth, and she can just spit it out and then keep swirling it until it starts to fill the mouth again and spit out again. And she can do this action every single night to try and help. She does not need thus of the peppermint oil inside. That she can add at a later stage, but it is more important to just swirl, because this tends to protect teeth, and if the teeth can be protected, then they can start to heal themselves.
Why does the fear of lack of money affect the teeth?
Because the teeth is an extension of the nervous system. Every nerve connects to a side of the teeth, just like down the base of the spine. And what tends to happen is, because it's the fear that is spoken out, and it is the words that get released, and then all that tension comes to sit in the top parts of the gum, and then starts to affect the enamel, and then starts to affect the teeth.
And why do people have the constant this dream of teeth falling out? What is that supposed to tell us?
That is then again fear of money, fear of things that they say, then their teeth will fall out. And that is one of the main representations.
So it's a fear of lack of money, I suppose.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so she also has arthritis. We're almost at the end now. She also has arthritis in her knees. She had it, I think she got it about 5 years ago. Somewhere between the pregnancies again. There's a pain in her knees, and coffee makes it worse, but she tries to listen to the body, but it's difficult to remove, all coffee completely. Why did she manifest this, and how can she release it?
One would say that it is definitely the fear of wanting to step forward into different adventures, and that she was restricting herself, and this caused the problem there. But that is the energetical side that needs to be addressed. The other side is, because of this of the lymph that is not processing things out, she will see at the back of the knee it is protrude out and it is swollen. It is because that lymph duct cannot release the fluid that is there. The liver sends all of the most toxic waste to behind the knees when it is too dangerous to process around the organs. And then it circulates there until it can start to move out the body. If it does not move out, it tends to become a hard mass behind that area. And then that starts to put pressure around the knee because the body collects more fluid in the area. And this is why the pain is there at this time. But the more she goes and she stimulates and she rubs behind the knee, the less pressure she will get. She will find that even just under the knee, on top of the calf, there is a hard spot there. That is the area where the nerve is being pulled tight, and for her to rub her oils on and stimulate. But she can physically massage and work on the area, but emotionally it is to let go of all of the fear and all of the things and allow herself to step forward into a new life. It is to not hold on to everything anymore and restrict herself. It is that she did not want to move forward because she was comfortable in that space. And because she was comfortable, she did not allow expansion. And at that time, especially with the pregnancy, what happened was it was that fear of stepping into this new reality, moving into this new life. The fear of how am I going to look after my child? How am I going to step forward? And it is that she restricted herself and therefore caused a restriction in the area. It always plays in both sides, physical and energetical. And that is why the more that she works on herself emotionally and tends to let go of that and allows herself to step into new things and not be scared of moving forward, but more to feel free and to feel happy and to know that everything is trial and error. It's not going to be perfect all the time. You will first learn what not to do before you learn what to do. That's how you learn. Answers are not given at the first step, and they never will. But when you do something from 5 different perspectives, then you know what 5 perspectives not to do. And then the 6th perspective, when you do it, you figure out how to do it. And that is how you get taught throughout all of the things. So this failure and fear of failing as a parent and not being able to provide, those types of emotions go and sit in those areas because she does not want to move into that space because of how she was scared it would affect. But the more she releases these thoughts, the more that will release there, and the more that she works on the area, the more she will help to heal.
Okay, what is the exact next step for her to step forward?
Is to just trust. As we said, to start to let go and think about what everyone is thinking about her and just be herself and believe that what she is doing is right. And then she needs to focus on things that make her happy, like working with the oils and being involved with people and educating them on how things can help them. But by wanting to do that for others, she has to do that for herself first. Think of it this way: practice what you preach. You cannot go and help someone if you cannot do it yourself. And that is why she has all these opportunities to start to heal herself. What a wonderful story to go and tell everyone, to be able to share with them her journey and what she has experienced and how she put time on herself and started working on herself and how that developed in what she needs now. It is just the perception shift, and that is the next step, to start focusing more on herself and her needs for what she needs to do to be healthy, because it is not nice to live in pain. It is not nice to look at yourself and then think, I do not like what I'm looking at. It is never a nice thing. But to be able to say that I am actively doing something about it already shifts the energy and the frequency. But it sounds like something that is so hard to achieve because the way that the beliefs are set. But hopefully after this session, it is something that she truly understands and that she can see all the synchronicities of how everything in her life can be changed by her perception, just by being different with herself and being different with her surrounding, and how that can interact into her now life.
Okay, why did she need the session today?
To hear that, to experience it, because it was something that she knew deep down but did not trust. It's something that she did not know that she could do because she never felt worthy to do it. But now, in this session, she knows what to do, and she knows that she is worth so much more. She is an amazing being. Many like to be in her presence because she brings joy to them, but she doesn't always see this because she's always focused on external things. She is a ray of sunlight. She is a joy. Her smile can really light up a room, and she's scared of it because of what has happened to her mouth. But it's not about that. It is about the action of just being free and confident. And many won't even notice that because they would just feel the vibration. It is to not be scared of what others are going to think and say, but to be more trusting in, I love myself and know that I am on the right track. And that is why she had to hear this today. A lot of things have come to forward for her, and a lot of things have come to light now. And she is going to move in the right direction because this is going to become her new obsession. And that is why she received this today. And we are so excited for her growth because we know it is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, I thought she was really funny when I spoke to her. They said she needed to be a comedian, actually.
Yes, she really has a way of bringing joy to everyone. And that is what she needs to know. She has this ability, and many love being around her. As soon as she starts to change these small things within herself and starts to enjoy being in her own skin, she will attract more and more and more. And that window will open bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she will say, why did I not do this before? She will do so well, and she is already there. And we are happy to see what she does next.
Okay, any last messages for her today?
We do not want to say anything, but we want her to close her eyes. And we want her to take a deep breath in and slowly exhale 3 times. And we want her to just feel the warmth and the love that we send her now as we breathe with her. There, she already feels lighter. Replacing so much light and love with inside of her body now, so that she can carry this when she goes and knows that she's never alone. But we must go now, as this vessel is not doing good. But we thank it for allowing us to come through. And we thank you today for being here and facilitating this so that she could get these messages.
Yes.
We leave now.
Thank you very much.